Welcome to the fall edition of the Division III Coaches Educational Series. I'm Kristen Nesbitt, and I work as an Assistant Director of Academic and Membership Affairs for Division III. Have a few minutes? Let's take a look at some issues that could impact you or your team. You've probably heard about the 60-day rule associated with your student athletes who graduate before the season ends. The idea sounds straightforward, but it can be tricky. A student athlete doesn't automatically get to compete for 60 days after he or she graduates. For a student athlete to continue participating, there has to be a postseason event that takes place within 60 days of when he or she graduates. If the postseason event is more than 60 days after the end of the term when the student athlete graduates, then that student athlete's season is finished. Because of the timing of winter sports, this rule doesn't usually help mid-year graduates. The rule does help students who graduate early, however. A student athlete who graduates in less than 4 consecutive years is allowed to participate in a postseason event even if it happens more than 60 days after graduation. Finally, one reminder, the 60-day rule applies to all participation, which means that a student athlete must not only stop competing, but also stop practicing. Do you have a student who's serving as a student coach or student manager? Make sure that he or she isn't participating in practice activities with the team. Student coaches or student managers should only perform coaching or managerial duties, so anything that involves engaging in physical activity with the team isn't permitted. Activities like participating in drills and filling in as a practice player are not allowed and will trigger that student's season of participation. Just a reminder, coaches generally may not step in as practice players for a live scrimmage or similar function. Rather, their duties are limited to coaching-related functions such as running practice drills and demonstrating a drill or technique. When it comes to travel, a student manager or student coach may receive expenses to travel with the team without being charged with the use of a season as long as he or she is not ineligible. Institutions can't let a student who has to sit out a year serve as a coach or manager in order to receive expenses and travel with the team. When a student athlete wants to talk to another Division III institution, he or she is able to do so by using a self-release form. The intent of this form is to give the student athlete a 30-day window where he or she can have conversations with other institutions without being required to notify you or your athletics department. That's why it's important to supply the self-release in a way that protects the student athlete's privacy. For example, institutions shouldn't require student athletes to come pick up a form directly from the coach, or require them to let athletic staff know they're thinking about transferring. Some sample best practices could be leaving materials out where athletes can pick them up at any time, giving student athletes a copy at the start of the year, linking to the self-release on ncaa.org, or making a copy of the self-release available on the athletics program's website for download. In a digital world, it's hard to keep track of the what, when, and how when it comes to recruiting your student athletes. To help, NCAA staff have created a recruiting and social media quick reference sheet. The reference lists different types of electronic platforms and lets you know at a glance what is and isn't permitted when you communicate with prospective student athletes. To print a copy of the reference, click on Rules, Education, and Tools on the Division III homepage. For more tools and education, visit the Compliance area under Quick Links on the Division III homepage. Thanks for watching. Our next edition will be released next spring.